Kevin, do you want to lead us in prayer?
Sure. You would bow with me, please. Father God, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for all your many blessings, Lord. I pray that you lead, guide, and direct this court in all the decisions we make, Lord. Lord, I pray that you put your protected hand on all of our first responders, servicemen and women that protect this county, this country. Lord, bring them home safely each and every day. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We'll go ahead and call Morris County Fiscal Court to order August 8th, 2019. First on the agenda, our Parks Director, Brittany Heath. Morning.
Morning.
Okay, so we're just doing new hire, that's all I'm up here
Yes.
for? Okay, good deal. So we have found a replacement for our part-time park employee who took another job, and I just need to get approval to have our new person start.
We got the
All we need is that informational form.
Okay, perfect.
okay, so we just need approval.
Yep.
Is there any
Motion to approve.
second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
All right, and then just get him and get Brad that info.
Okay, I've got it at the park. I'll send it over today.
Okay,
All right, thanks.
thank you. Under correspondence, item A, personnel changes.
These are July 2019 personnel changes. Dwayne A. Lane, full-time sheriff deputy, effective 7/15/19 at $19.50 per hour per Sheriff McGuire. Trista Lovett, sheriff's office, wage increase to $17.26 per hour, effective 7/1/19 per Sheriff McGuire. Jamie Thomas, deputy jailer, voluntary resignation, effective 6/29/19. Erskine Estes, sanitation labor, voluntary resignation, effective 7/12/19. Blake Manis, sheriff deputy, wage increase to $22.26 per hour per Sheriff McGuire. Brandon Little, sheriff deputy, wage increase to $18.76 per hour per Sheriff McGuire. Larry Simmons, deputy jailer, retired, effective 7/31/19. Matt Hilbert, full-time sheriff deputy, effective 7/22/19 at $22.51 per hour per Sheriff McGuire. Autumn Evans, animal shelter, voluntary resignation, effective 7/22/19.
All right. We'll move on. Correspondence, item B, autism awareness training. I sat down last week with Kim Steele, who's a mother and an activist in our community. I know she's been actively trying to get 911 and first responders training on autism awareness in our community. This is training that they have actually set up, the Families on the Spectrum. It presents autism awareness and safety training for first responders. And so I wanted to share this with the court, put this out as a correspondence so that we can put that on our webpage as well, to let folks in the community know that this type of training is going on. It's not just for first responders. Citizens in our community can also get training and be aware of incidences. I know Kim had an actual event with her own child, and it was folks in the community that being aware of the situation that helped out. So this is good training. Sometimes we overlook the need for this type of training, especially as first responders, but it's very important that as first responders they understand when they get a call like this, there's those little things of information that if they knew or know, it helps them handle that call a lot better. So it's September 17th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's at the Lakeland Event Center here in Calvert. Individuals must register online at www.familiesonthespectrumky.org. Autism is becoming increasingly prevalent with 1 in 59 children diagnosed with ASD. People with ASD are more likely to have a 911 encounter with a typical person. This workshop will provide first responders with an overview of autism spectrum disorder, ASD, growth rates, theories, common characteristics, effective communication methods, behavioral symptoms, sensory issues, and some practical skills on how to effectively interact and respond to an emergency situation with a person with ASD. They've got 2 guest speakers, and so they're both first responders, and they're going to be present, giving some training during that training session. So I know as elected officials, we should also participate if if your schedule presents itself. But this is information that I think is good for all of us. But just making it aware, putting that out there so that people know what's going on in the community. We'll move on to old business. Approve the minutes, July 16th meeting and July 24th special call meeting.
Motion for the minutes.
Second,
Second.
all those approved? Any nays? Motion carries. We had tabled item B under old business, Avenue Insights, and we finally got back. They finally responded to us as far as the question that we had sent them. You got the correspondence on that, Brad or Erica?
Okay, I emailed Richard Boone, who's our contact with Avenue. I think that the question was, would they be collecting on future revenues of taxpayers that they found? And his answer was no. They collect 40% of the recovered dollars for the current tax year and any previous tax years, but there's no fees on future tax years.
So it's the first or the current tax year, and that's,
And anything previous that was not collected as well. But yes, that's it.
How-
Current tax year and previous, nothing in the future.
How far back do they go?
They will go up to 5 years back if that's what we want them to do.
that's what I was that was my second question was, do we have the option of not having them go back any further, just starting it this year? Or
He
do
said we
they-
could do a year, we could do 5 years. It's whatever we ask them
But,
to.
but can we do nothing? I mean, can we do just current year,
Current on.
start from there?
I would assume, I think that's part of the discovery meeting that we were talking about, that I think that those are the details that we would get into, is if we did want to go back or not at all. So I think those are all part of negotiating that contract.
Okay. So we're not, within that, we're not, when we make this call, we're just deciding to go with this group. Our cost is not involved until we start this process, and it's just commission-based
That's right.
only.
Have they submitted a proposed contract?
In their document, I think it was just I think it's just a proposal, it's not an actual, it's a proposal, it's not an actual contract. But I know it's from Erica talked to him and me, I think it was determined that you could approve the proposal and then go into that discovery meeting and line out some of those details. And then probably at that point, we would look at the contract, let Jason look at it, and then present for you all to approve.
So their fee on that's 40%.
And I
40%
think
of
the
what they
other,
collect, right?
the other question, which is probably in that same answer, is it's only on what they let us know what they found. It's only on what they found, right?
Right.
So
What they bring in, right?
if-
40% of what they actually bring in.
yes.
Yeah.
So if
And-
we find our own, I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know what
they
I mean?
won't,
It-
Right.
it's-
because
it's- has
they
nothing to
take
do
care
with-
of invoicing, they register those people, and then they actually collect it
And remit it back to
and then
us.
remit it back to us.
less the
Less the
40%. Okay. Okay.
So the more we find ourselves,
Yeah, then they're not involved in that.
correct.
Okay. All right. Well, then I move, we accept that proposal and move to the, whatever you called that. What would you?
But, yeah, move to accept the proposal subject to reaching acceptable contract terms.
Did you get a feel whether or not they would
So moved, what he just said.
accept the terms of starting in the current year? I know going back would be more revenue for them, but if we decided to go from the current year, are they okay with that, do you think?
He made it sound like it's entirely up to us.
Okay.
Because we also have the option of allowing them to collect on delinquent accounts that we already know about. So that's up to us as well. There are several things that we'll just decide, yes, we want that, or no, we don't.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go on to new business. First item is a resolution for 911 dispatchers and first responders. If we've been paying attention to the national media and activity with our elected officials in D.C., there was an attempt to make dispatchers nationally recognized as first responders. That failed, I feel, because of nonpartisan efforts, but at the local level, I know that there's dispatchers, even in the state of Kentucky, that were anticipating and expecting to be recognized as first responders. You know, being in the career in law enforcement, we see those dispatchers, they get the call first. There's things that they deal with that, as a police officer, we don't deal with. There are stresses in that job that the average citizen's not aware of. So to recognize our dispatchers as first responders, because technically they get the first call, but it's also the information and the tools that they use to help resolve issues when those calls come in. I think just recently, everyone is aware of the activity that happened in LBL where a young lady was needing medical attention, and our two dispatchers in our center went above and beyond. They used the tools that they had available to them, and with 3 phone calls that there was no connectivity, they went to the software or the services of Texty, and they could text to that individual and get medical attention to that person. That was a dispatcher basically handling that call and getting services to that individual. Those types of calls happen all the time. A lot of times we feel like dispatchers take the call, and the majority of their job they do, and they pass it on to the first responders who actually then go out and respond if it's law enforcement, if it's EMS. But in this case, it was the actual dispatcher that utilized a tool, a service that was available to them, and they acted on their own and got an individual medical service in another county. So that's just one example of where a dispatcher is acting like a first responder. So without any ado, I'm going to read a resolution where here in Marsh County, we're going to recognize our dispatchers as first responders, and I'm going to encourage other judge and fiscal courts across the state to do the same. So a resolution recognizing the dispatchers of Marsh County 911 as first responders and as being a part of the critical infrastructure of the public safety framework. Be it hereby resolved by the Fiscal Court of Marsh County, Kentucky as follows. The Marsh County Fiscal Court hereby recognizes that 911 telecommunicators are part of the critical infrastructure of the public safety framework, and without them, public safety would not be possible. The Marsh County Fiscal Court recognizes that not only are they a first responder, they are the first responder. And these selfless individuals make life-saving, split-second decisions, and those decisions make the difference in the outcome of the call. The Marsh County Fiscal Court recognizes the 911 telecommunicators provide care and compassion to our citizens in their worst and most horrific moments, that many of these calls leave a traumatic effect on the 911 telecommunicator, that PTSD and various trauma are real issues in the 911 profession, and that this is substantiated by scholarly data, Regardless of this fact, the Marshall County Fiscal Court acknowledges that the 911 telecommunicator must continue answering the calls, the radio, the text, or view the video of the emergency. The Marshall County Fiscal Court recognizes that more intensively than any other public safety official, the 911 telecommunicators not only have to know their own agency protocols, they must additionally know the response protocols for every response event type and every response agency that utilizes their expertise. Furthermore, the position of a 911 telecommunicator serves in the public safety framework as a mid-level management position by independently making executive decisions regarding the allocation of the community's resources. Additionally, they serve as the community's public safety intelligence resource, collecting, analyzing, and distributing data to those public safety officials who otherwise would not have access to that data. The Marshall County Fiscal Court recognizes the Marshall County 911 dispatchers go through an extensive background check, including a suitably screener and polygraph, attend a mandatory 5-week state training academy, along with an extensive 21-week interdepartment training program with totals more than 26 weeks of initial training. Additionally, they are required to do continual education yearly. The Marshall County Fiscal Court recognizes that despite all of these requirements, stressors, and education and training in the public safety, the Federal Office of Management and Budget classifies this group of individuals as clerical staff, but we dissent. The Marshall County Fiscal Court recognizes that a 911 telecommunicator is far from clerical and supports the national movement to reclassify 911 telecommunicators as first responders, to truly recognize the work they do. Additionally, the Marshall County Fiscal Court supports the 911 Saves Act to properly classify the profession of 911 telecommunicators. The Marshall County Fiscal Court, through this resolution, shows its support to this special group of dedicated individuals as they will, through the resolution, be classified as first responders. Resolved this day, 6th of August, 2019. Kevin Neal, Judge Executive, Marshall County Fiscal Court. And we have some first responders with us today. Would you please stand up? Thank you. Okay. We'll need a motion on that.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And I will submit this resolution to the Judge Executives Association. I sit on that board. I'm going to share that with my colleagues to get them to recognize this, what we're doing in Marshall County, and hopefully some other counties in the state will follow suit. And maybe we'll get the attention of our national leaders to work together to recognize our first responders in the 911 community. All right, well, moving on, proclamation for National Purple Heart Day. I see Mr. Bill Fletcher here. Who do you have with you, Bill? I can't see. Who do you have with you? I can't see. Commander Gary Thompson. Will y'all please stand and be recognized? I'm going to read this while y'all be recognized. Marshall County Fiscal Court proclamation, countywide observance of Purple Heart Day. Whereas the Order of the Purple Heart for military merit is uniquely American decoration, the oldest military honor in the world is in present use and the first award made available to a common soldier. And whereas on August 7th, 1782, General George Washington devised the badge of military merit in the figure of a heart in purple cloth and wrote that it was to be awarded whenever any singularly meritorious act is performed. And whereas on February 22nd, 1932, the President of the United States, per the United States War Department, General Orders 3, designated this honor as the Purple Heart. And whereas the Purple Heart is awarded in the name of the President of the United States to any member of the armed forces or any civilian national of the United States who, while serving under competent authority in any capacity with one of the U.S. Armed Service, and whereas the Purple Heart is awarded to members of the armed forces who are wounded or killed or who has died, or may hereafter die after being wounded in any action against any enemy of the United States, in any action with an opposing armed force of a foreign country in which the armed forces of the United States are or have been engaged, while serving with friendly foreign forces engaged in an armed conflict against an opposing armed force in which the United States is not a belligerent party, as a result of an act of any such enemy of opposing forces, as a result of an act of any hostile foreign force. And whereas the military order of the Purple Heart of the United States of America was chartered by Congress on August 26, 1958, as the only organization of combat wounded veterans. And whereas this year makes the 237th anniversary of the establishment of the Purple Heart by General George Washington and the 87th anniversary of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. And whereas residents of Marshall County have a long and distinguished tradition of service to the nation of times of war, and whereas the blessing of freedom and democracy we enjoy today are the direct result of the courage and sacrifice of generations of such Americans. And therefore, the Marshall County Fiscal Court does hereby proclaim Wednesday, August 7th, 2019, Purple Heart Day in Marshall County, given under my hand on the 6th day of August 2019. Kevin Neal, Judge Executive of Marshall County. And that we're going to have a service tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Mike Miller Park.
I'd like to add something else that we're not the only two Purple Heart recipients here.
Kevin Neal
He
is
wasn't
a Purple Heart
prepared. He wasn't prepared, but he'd say this. Gunnery Sergeant retired Kevin Neal, United States Marine Corps, wounded in 2004, and I believe in the Battle of Nafta. Nafta. I can't pronounce them Arab words.
I've got another name for it, but that you did good.
He served his country well.
He served his country well. Retired Gunnery Sergeant Kevin Neal.
Thank you, sir. All right. Appreciate it, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
And I will see y'all tomorrow night. And it's open for anybody to come out. All right. Need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Library Board appointment, my appointment is Jeannie Lovett. Just need a motion to approve or not.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On our agreements with organizations that either are housed in a county facility or utilize county facility, we overlook the WAC pack. So you've got the agreement. You've had it for review, but we would need to approve this agreement with the WAC pack.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And you should have a copy of the Marshall County Clerk audit. If there's not any questions, we need a motion to approve or actually receive, accept the clerk's audit.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And next item is salary schedule.
I'd say on this one, Commissioner Collins pointed out that on the FY18 annual salary, it should be corrected to FY20. So thanks for that catch, and we can make that change.
Does anybody have any questions on the, other than what was noted? If so, we would need a motion to approve the salary schedule with the noted changes.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. 2018 Sheriff's Tax Settlement. Should have that in your file. If there's no discussion, we would need a motion to accept it.
So move.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the emergency management surplus. Kurt, you want to talk? Okay. Is he going to get something?
No, I don't know, he's shutting that door.
Oh,
Torn between Fiscal Court and Crime Bay.
yeah, gotcha. You want to give us an update on that?
Yeah, we're seeking permission to bid off, take bids, this surplus out a used vehicle. It was purchased with monies from Office of Emergency Management and our Alliance Group. It was just a used vehicle. When we bought it, it pulls what we call the kids' fire safety trailer that's utilized by all the fire departments, to take to schools and churches for awareness, for safety for children. It's really not big enough to pull. It's got a lot of miles on it. So what we intend to do is surplus that out. What monies we can recover, put it into repairing some of the damaged items that are on the kids' fire safety trailer. And the fire departments have all assured me that they have trucks that can pull the trailer to the different facilities that they want to put them on for public display. They've authorized me to seek permission, to sell it, and we'll put it on the gov.deal and just do what we can, and any monies we can sell it for, they're gonna put right back into repairing the trailer. So,
Okay.
be lucky to get $2,000 out of it. Yeah.
I think what Kurt and I discussed is putting it on and maybe putting a real low reserve on it, and just to make sure that we would recover at least what we think we'd get, and then see what it brings. So,
Does that reserve need to be in the motion?
I think we just need to give him approval to
to surplus it,
surplus it.
and then,
Just surplus it out.
and we've done that with other assets too, where we did put a reserve on it, and it didn't bring anything, so then we would just take the reserve off and let it go for what it does. So it works out that way.
But if you want a reserve on it,
So moved.
Second.
is there a second?
You
All-
can, you can make a motion to have him put an appropriate reserve on.
I trust you. So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm just going to read this. This is House Bill 114 that passed with the TVA in lieu of tax each year. This is an annual thing that we have to do. We've already identified our IDA. If you remember, the first year was $50,000. The next year was $102,000. And by year 3, it should be $150,000 or $152,000. So in order to get those funds, we have to approve this resolution each year. So authorizing resolution, County of Marshall, adoption of a resolution of the Marshall County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of a Regional Development Agency Assistance Program, RDAP, proposal grant application for up to $50,000 in RDAP funds with the Department for Local Government and DLG, and authorizing the designated Marshall County Industrial Development Authority to act as authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas Marshall County desires to promote and carry out economic development efforts on behalf of the resident of Marshall County, and whereas it is recognized that Regional Development Agency Assistance Program funds available to the county pursuant to KRS Chapter 96 and 2018 Kentucky General Assembly House Bill 200 budget bill impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county and will require, 1, the designation of an Industrial Development Authority, IDA, established under KRS 154.50301, to KRS 154.50346. Number 2, approval of a satisfactory application to be transmitted to the DLG for approval. Now therefore be it resolved the 6th day of August 2019 by Marshall County Fiscal Court that a RDAP project application on behalf of the county for RDAP monies up to $102,564.10 for Southwest One project shall be submitted to DLG. The county shall provide such additional information and furnish such documentations as may be required, and the designated IDA shall act as the authorized correspondence for the project. Done this 6th day of August 2019. Motion and signed by the judge. So we need a motion to approve that.
Why, just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, why is it up to 50 and then I mean, I know it's our second year, so we can get, but that doesn't need to be the matching amount?
This is a example resolution that the DLG had sent. And that 50,000, I agree, should be 102, but we've taken their example and put in the 102. I'll get with DLG and make sure that doesn't, yeah. And if it does need to be changed, I'll make that change. I don't think it's a significant change to the document, so, but yeah. But that's what they sent out to us as far as an example resolution, but it's a good point. You got anything to add on that, Jason? Okay, I'll find out.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And the IDA, what's unique about this is that we do the resolution, but the IDA actually will submit the request for funds to DLG. So I'll get with Dennis too, and we'll work that out. Let's see, item J on the new business, the bid for Hauser Road Bridge.
Bid notice was put in the Tribune Courier July 23rd, 2019. Marshall County Fiscal Court will be accepting sealed bids on a 24-foot by 70-foot concrete box beam bridge for Hauser Road. The specifications can be obtained at the Marshall County Road Department located at 160 Homer Lucas Lane, Benton, Kentucky, between 7 a.m. and 3:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. All sealed bids must be submitted to the Judge Executive's office by 3 p.m. August 2nd, 2019. Questions regarding this bid should be emailed to wendy.greer@marshallcountyky.gov. The Marshall County Fiscal Court reserves the right to reject any and all bids. We received one from Smith Contracting. Ms. Greer and I opened that yesterday. This is for all labor, material, and equipment necessary to construct a 24-foot wide, 70-foot long PC box beam bridge as detailed in the attached proposal, and they do have a bid bond attached. Total price is $373,384 and 0 cents. And I think Ms. Greer also reviewed this bid as well.
Yeah, I recommend that we accept it.
We have no choice, right?
Rebid it.
Is it typical just to get one bid on a bridge?
Yeah, sometimes we only get one.
Okay.
Fits within the amount that we were thinking.
It is, it's actually about 1,000 and some odd dollars less than what we had estimated.
Cool. Make a motion to accept the bid.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under new business item K, Commodore Lane, we have a petition. Do you want to update us on that, Wendy?
Yeah, they're wanting us to take the road in. We went out and looked at it. We still need to review it. I guess the road reviewers need to go out, but we'll have to set a hearing to take it in, but it meets our specs from what I've seen, so. And they're wanting to put the money up front for the final surface coat for the paving.
So just for clarification, they are paying.
Yes. Yes, it's already got the base coat, and all it likes is the inch of the surface. So they're wanting us to have Smith pave it, but they'll put the money up for it.
We just need to set a public hearing date.
Can that be our next fiscal court meeting as we normally do, 10?
Yeah.
That would be the 20th. Is everybody fine with that? Yep. So we can set it at 10, and then we can recess out of fiscal court and go into the public hearing. So August 20th, we'll have the public hearing, August 20th of this year, our next fiscal court meeting. And then as far as the road review, just to make sure that we follow our road resolution, we'll have Wendy, I think Casey, is it Casey that normally goes out? And Andy. So we'll have them do a road review, come back, and present that during that public hearing. I don't think, that doesn't need a action on that. I can't remember. It's been a while since we've done a road review. I think it's more or less just a directive, if I'm not mistaken. But do we need a action, court action to move on that road review?
No, you just appoint the reviewers. You know,
Okay.
Viewers. I guess it's viewers.
And I believe our announcement now suffices for the public notice as far as the August 20th. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So again, August 20th, 10 a.m., here at the Marshall County Fiscal Court, we'll have a public hearing for Commodore Lane. All right, we'll move on to item L, interlocal agreement. This is a draft. You've had it for review. I know that there's one typo. We'll fix that, but as far as the full context of the body, this is what we intend to send to the cities. And if there's not any discussion, we'll make that change. I think it's on the last page. Where was it? The third page. Nope. It's already been changed. Never mind. So, and there's no comments or discussion, I'll go ahead and we'll submit that to the cities. The biggest thing is to make sure that our animal control officers have jurisdiction in the incorporated limits of the cities.
Yeah, that's just a draft proposal, so
Yeah.
we'll send that to the cities and see what response we get.
Move on to item M, ordinance 2019-09, electric fee for E911, first reading. You got it? While Jason's got that, I'm going to go ahead and recognize some folks here from the Exceptional Center. I believe they're here for judicial review. So Jason, you are under the microscope of our folks from the Exceptional Center who are going to watch you intently when you read this. And I appreciate y'all being here.
They've been studying the court system and the local government, so we're glad to have them here.
Perfect.
We might do a picture later if you're interested.
That's right. And if you notice Jason making a mistake, call him out.
When they came to the judicial building, they were intent on sitting in a judge's chair, so that might be something here. Okay, so this is ordinance number 2019-09, first reading. This is an ordinance establishing and imposing a fee on electric meters bills to facilitate funding for Marshall County 911 and permitting electrical providers a mechanism to receive reasonable compensation for their efforts in collecting the fees. Whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court is responsible for promoting public safety and the general welfare of the citizens of Marshall County, Kentucky, whereas the operation of a 911 or emergency communication system is one of the most critical of all public services, indispensable and necessary for the safety of the citizens of Marshall County to ensure prompt responses to emergencies, and whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court pursuant to 65.760 and by enabling ordinance has established Marshall County 911, and whereas there is currently a fee-based system for financial support based upon a per-month charge on landline phones in Marshall County, Kentucky, And whereas the ever-increasing use and reliance on mobile phones and the concomitant decreasing existence of landline phones had resulted in the placement of an unfair burden of supporting Marshall County 911 on a disproportionately small segment of the citizens of Marshall County, Kentucky, namely the elderly and businesses. And whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court is unable under current law to assess fees to mobile phones, whereas the amount of fees received by Marshall County 911 from landline phones has been decreasing for a number of years and continues to decrease, resulting in a lack of adequate funding to continue to operate Marshall County 911 effectively. And whereas the lack of funding from landline phone fees places Marshall County 911 at serious risk of losing its ability to continue to operate in a field with rapid advancements in technology and requiring new and modern equipment. Whereas if Marshall County 911 is unable to continue to operate, all emergency communication systems and dispatching services will have to be outsourced to an outside agency. Whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court sees the need of keeping Marshall County 911 in operation as being a critical and necessary service to the citizens of Marshall County. Whereas 65760 subsection 3 is a specific provision which expressly permits local governments to fund 911 emergency telephone services by the imposition of fees, more particularly stating the funds required by local government to establish and operate 911 emergency service may be obtained through the levy of any fee not in conflict with the Constitution and statutes of this state. Whereas Marshall County Fiscal Court believes that distributing the burden of funding from Marshall County 911 among the citizens through a fee on electric meters is more equitable, that it bears a reasonable relationship to the benefit received and requires more persons to support the system than the existing landline phone fee. Whereas there are active residential and commercial electric meters, where there are active residential and commercial electric meters, there is the ever-present and inherent risk of fire, and also the likelihood of persons being at or nearby those locations who could foreseeably require the assistance of a variety of emergency services. Whereas in City of Lancaster versus Garrett County, Kentucky Court of Appeals has expressly permitted fees on utility meters as an appropriate mechanism for funding emergency 911 communication services. Whereas there are currently 4 electricity providers in Marshall County, those being Benton Electric System, Jackson Purchase Energy, West Kentucky RECC, and the Tennessee Valley Authority. Whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court desires for those electricity providers to have an ability to receive reasonable compensation for their efforts in collecting fees on electric meters bills for Marshall County 911. And now therefore be it hereby ordained by the Marshall County Fiscal Court as follows. Section 1. There is hereby established, imposed, and implemented a monthly fee on active electric meters provided to occupied households and businesses in Marshall County, Kentucky, calculated at blank per month per active residential and commercial electric meter. An active electric meter is defined as any electric meter that is producing revenue. Section 2, that every electricity provider in Marshall County, Kentucky shall collect the herein established fee and remit amounts collected by the end of each month to the Marshall County Treasurer. The fees shall be accounted for and kept separate and apart from other accounts and may only be used for those purposes as permitted by state law. Section 3, that the electricity provider shall be permitted to retain 3% of withholdings for the administration of collecting this fee from Marshall County 911. Section 4, that a party subject to this fee may file a written petition for relief to the Marshall County Fiscal Court if that party has a reasonable basis to believe that the party is being unfairly subjected to a double fee, in which case Marshall County Fiscal Court may provide relief. An example of a double fee could be a case where a single-family residence that houses a single unit of residence has, for whatever reason, 2 or more electric bills meters servicing that one residence. Section 5, that the Marshall County Fiscal Court shall review the fee imposed by this ordinance on an annual basis to ensure that it is adequately helping to cover the costs of operating Marshall County 911 without unduly burdening Marshall County citizens. Section 6, that the landline fee established pursuant to ordinance number 91-02 shall be suspended at all times that the fee established by this ordinance is being collected.
That's the first reading.
First reading.
Okay.
We have, I think, representatives from RECC who would like to address the court on that issue.
Okay. Gentlemen?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
First, before I give my statement, I would like to personally thank the folks that have served our country and our dispatchers. We operate a 24/7 dispatch center at Jackson Purchase Energy, and I don't know how we could function without them, so thank you as well. My name is Greg Grissom. I'm President and CEO of Jackson Purchase Energy. And as a co-op, we always strive to be a community advocate. We want to be involved with community projects. But in the case of this fee, we cannot agree to be bound by an ordinance which is enacted without consideration that we are a private member-owned corporation and not a tax collection agent for the county and the local government. We respectfully ask the Fiscal Court of Marshall County to reconsider its position. Meanwhile, our local board of directors has passed a resolution opposing the collection of the 911 fee and has authorized management to legally oppose adoption of this ordinance. I would also reflect that the Kentucky Association of Electric Cooperatives will stand on a statewide level against this ordinance, and that we have active discussions going on with the League of Counties across the state. Again, we respectfully ask you to reconsider this. We believe that this should be handled through PVA collection through residential properties. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hello, David.
Morning.
Morning.
Judge Neal, members of the court, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you on this issue this morning. My name's David Smart. I'm the president and CEO of West Kentucky Rural Electric Cooperative, headquartered in Mayfield. We serve around 11,000 customers in your county. As Greg indicated, West Kentucky strives to be a good corporate citizen, and we work closely with local governments in many ways. We recognize the importance of 911 and what it means to the people in our area. However, you know, our board of directors feel strongly that collecting 911 fees on behalf of local government goes beyond our role as an electric cooperative and is ultimately not in the best interest of our members. Our board recently passed a resolution opposing the collection of the 911 fees and authorized us to take any legal action necessary to defend our position as a utility. There are several reasons why we have taken this position. First, we don't believe that it's right for a government entity to force a private rural electric cooperative to collect 911 service fees on behalf of local government. Second, changes in our billing processes and additional staffing will be required. It should be noted that electric cooperatives are subject to strict regulatory controls, and that would require every penny spent on collecting these fees be repaid by the local government or 911 board. TVA, who is our regulator, would require us to identify, isolate, and track all costs associated with the 911 fee and would audit us to ensure full cost recovery from the county. Finally, we have no collection authority over members who refuse to pay these fees and cannot pay fees to the county if the member refuses to pay. We cannot disconnect service for them not paying that fee. If they pay their electric part of their bill, then their service stays on. So we have no collection action we can take against them for refusing to pay. TVA, who also provides retail electric service in Marshall County, has stated that it is their intent to not collect 911 fees, and they are exempted as a federal agency. So that's the position TVA has stated. Existing case law supports the use of the county PVA to collect 911 fees. We encourage the court to use the path that is already available to Marshall County instead of a path that will lead to legal challenges for the county. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you.
Thank you.
I would like to make one other statement in regard to the regulatory environment. We have 4 utilities here in the county. Of course, TVA is regulated by the Attorney General and U.S. Inspector General. West Kentucky RECC is regulated by TVA. Jackson Purchase Energy is regulated by the Public Service Commission. And so any action that's taken here at the local level, we will have to go to the commission in Frankfort and ask for approval to collect this fee. So we're not sure how that would play out. So it complicates the process again. I think the easiest path is through the PVA. And with that, I would entertain any questions that the court may have.
I have a
Counsel.
question based on, if that's okay.
Well, I have a question. And you may want to consult with Mr. Carter on this, but you said that if someone doesn't pay the fee, you can't turn their service off. So on my bill, there's a school tax. So if I turn in if I pay my bill and don't pay the school tax, are you gonna keep my electric on?
That was exactly my question.
You're already collecting school taxes on your bill. You said you don't collect for a public entity, but you're already doing that for the schools.
Right, yes, sir, I understand that, but the school tax is a statutorily mandated tax by the General Assembly of the state of Kentucky. So it is something that is in the Kentucky law.
Well, this is a fee that's authorized by KRS as well.
That's a discussion between you and our legal representation.
I do want to say something. You mentioned that you don't believe government should force you to collect. And just as council has stated, the General Assembly is forcing you to collect through that tax, that statute for the school. And just as council has stated, the ordinance is backed by a statute. It's the same principle. I think that the argument is only one-sided. Was there ever any initiative to argue that General Assembly statute to have the school collect that tax?
In honesty, that was before my time, and I can't answer that question. You know, I do believe at the end of the day, whatever happens in this case, every electric bill will be increased. And where does it stop? So if we collect school tax, if we collect 911 fees, if we collect what's next, at the end of the day, we become a collection agency. And that is fundamentally not what a cooperative is about. We're about serving members that own the co-op, and we provide them a service at no cost. So it puts the administrative burden on us to answer these questions. And, you know, I don't think 3% could even get close to the true cost. When we look at, we have multiple counties, multiple meters, multiple classes of meters, residences with multiple meters, it becomes an administrative burden that is very complex with our billing systems.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the school tax is actually a tax on the electric providers, but I'm assuming this was the result of lobbying. That cost is actually being passed on to the consumer. So I pay what should be your tax.
Jason, if I may, the school tax is a tax on the service that they provide. The fee is unrelated to the service that they provide. That's the difference here. One's a tax and one's a fee. Yes, they're statutorily mandated to collect the tax, but they're not statutorily mandated to collect this fee. It's not that they don't want to do it, it's that it's not good for their customers. And as David pointed out, TVA has flat out, I think, indicated they're not going to do it.
But I think David stood up here and advised us that he doesn't feel that the government should basically have that collection.
Well, with all due respect, Judge, I think he also said that the better mechanism here, and the more appropriate mechanism, again, with all due respect, is to use a county service to collect the fee, which we believe would be PVA. They're in contact with every single piece of property in this county. And that would seem to be a government-on-government initiative as opposed to a government-on-private entity initiative.
Have either one of you talked to our PVA?
No, sir.
We have. And there's a whole list of items and issues that come with that. So to stand there and say that you feel that the landline fee is the best option for us, it may be for another county in this state, but for us, our PVA is not even equipped to do that. So when we look at it as far as the best option for 911 service in our county, the PVA, that option is not the best option for us. And that's coming directly from our PVA officer.
Well, again, we know that there's at least one other county that is doing that.
Sure, but it's not Marsh County.
I understand.
I mean, that we only govern Marshall County. I mean, we have looked at that. We've sat down with the PVA officer about 2 years ago who advised us that there'd be a lengthy things that we would have to do, and we're not set up to do that.
We understand, just like they're not set up to collect these fees. But if there is another PVA office that has found a way to do this, I guess the point is, we feel like Marshall County could do the same thing.
Well, sure. I mean, I could see that position that you have, but we've looked into that, and we feel that a fee on an electrical meter, it ties in with if there's ever an opportunity to call 911, the chances are far greater if they have electric to that residence, to that facility. So to us, that makes more sense. It's a fair, the landline fee right now is not fair, in my opinion. The older population who still have landlines, the businesses, it's not a fair fee in our county. And so we've looked at this over the past several years as far as what is a fair fee in our county to where we can capture more folks. Because let's face it, 911 service, I mean, we've demonstrated this for several months and years that when we pick up that phone, we expect that service to be there. When we don't have the proper funding here in this county, and go take a tour of our 911 center. We think that the service is going to be there when we call, and just like the young lady in LBL, she called thinking the service was going to be there. It wasn't there. And so we have to look at that. Are we providing the best service in our community? So that's the lenses that we're looking through. We know that the electrical folks do not want to, obviously, collect this fee, and I respect that. But from the way we look at it, we have to make sure that we provide the best service for the people in our community, and that's getting a good funding stream put in place.
Well, and at the same time, I want to make sure that nothing either one of these gentlemen have said on behalf of their organizations is in any way disrespecting
Sure.
the 911 system or the work, the importance of the work that it
Sure.
serves. I mean, it's the vital piece of the infrastructure for emergency service. We all understand that. These gentlemen understand it. Their membership understands that. It's just that we have a difference of opinion about how the fee
Right.
ought to be collected. We all, I think they would agree with you that imposition of the fee on just landline users would not be appropriate. I don't have a landline, so is it fair for me to get 911 service but not pay for it? No. We get that. But we just feel like there's a different mechanism that would work better for all concerned. And these gentlemen have stated their positions, and again, they have complete respect for everything that you're trying to do here and what you're trying to accomplish. It's just we feel like it ought to be done a little bit differently.
Fair enough.
And I'll just say this too, the PVA avenue also misses a lot of the population. You're hitting property owners only. You're not, anybody who rents property is not paying that at all, so.
Just one other comment, keep in mind that even you're proposing a fee to us to collect, you're gonna pay 3 different entities to do that. So you're paying 3 different administrative costs, not one administrative cost. And you'll have to pay, TVA will challenge your ability to force me to not collect the full amount of money as my regulator.
And I think this point may have been made, but the actual cost for each one of these entities to administer the collection is different. His cost is different than West Kentucky's is, because they have different regulators, number one. So to have a one-size-fits-all fee structure is not going to be workable for their organizations, even if the ordinance is adopted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you. And that's the first reading of the ordinance. We'll have the second reading probably next court meeting. Before we move any further, I would ask the court if we go ahead and go in executive session so we can get some items taken care of, and then we can come back and convene.
Motion go in executive session.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
This would be for litigation and personnel?
Yes, executive session for litigation and personnel. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we got everybody back, so we'll go ahead and call Morris County Fiscal Court back to order. Coming out of executive session, we'll need a motion to approve title change for the road superintendent to a new title, Marshall County Road Superintendent / Regional Road Consultant. And the key here is for the folks to know that this change does not cost the taxpayers anything. It's a title change. So we just need a motion to approve that title change.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And I wanted to add, this is the contract with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. So I want to read this resolution. I forgot to add this to the agenda, but I want to add it so that we can go ahead and get this contract executed and we can move on the flex funds, because I know Wendy's been on me about that. This resolution, Fiscal Court of Marshall County, resolution adopting and approving the execution of a rural secondary program agreement between the Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, and accepting all roads and streets referred to therein as being a part of the county road system. Be it resolved by the Fiscal Court that the Fiscal Court does hereby certify that all roads and streets referred to in said agreement are county roads as defined in KRS 178010 subsection 1 and B, and the Fiscal Court does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said agreement, and does hereby accept said agreement, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated, and the county judge executive of the county is hereby authorized and directed to sign said agreement as set forth on behalf of the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, and the county clerk of Marshall County is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto. So that's the resolution. We would just need a motion to approve the resolution for the flex funds.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. New business, item N, nonprofit grant awards. You should have this is the recommendation from, I had Tony Watkins and Dr. Long look at the applications, and this is their recommendations on the applications. Veteran Support Group, $10,000. Ramp Ministries, $3,000. Friends of Clarks River, $1,000. WACPAC, $2,500. Humane Society, $1,500. Hope Clinic, $4,500. Marcella's, $30,000. Children's Arts Center, $5,000. Exceptional Center, $20,000. Caring Need Line, $10,000. Hardin Senior Citizens, $7,500. And Senior Citizens, $30,000. The Senior Citizens, there is an initiative. Some local folks have stepped up. They're going to reorganize the Senior Citizens. They don't want to see them close. So there is an initiative. Tomorrow, actually, we're going to have a meeting to discuss branding initiatives, trying to get the board reorganized so that the organization will continue. It's a community effort. We feel that our seniors in the community, you know, as you look at the board members, the youngest one is 84 years old. So folks in the community have gotten behind this initiative. They want to participate in it, and they're going to be trying to help reorganize our senior citizen center in this community, or in our community. So initially, we thought that they were going to be closing their doors, but these efforts are now going to be put in place to try to help that organization reorganize and get some new board members in place to move this forward. So that $30,000 and all of these dollars that are being recommended obviously would be with contingencies, with the contingency of meeting the requirements. But we heard from one member in the community that's actively involved. I don't know if y'all want to share or have comments on that with the senior citizens, but if not, that's why they're getting $30,000 to help them try to reorganize and rebrand their organization. But again, these are recommendations. The floor is open for any discussion.
Well, I think the key with that one also is that, and others, I guess, that is, part of that contingency is that it is not given all at one time. So that if that reorganization does not pan out in 2 months, that those funds that were set aside can be reallocated
Yeah,
to another.
some of the other organizations.
That's
Yes.
mine.
There's a lot of people that have shown interest in the past several months and expressed it with the senior center. I hope they will step up to the plate and help with this effort that's underway. I think the potential's there. Get the right people in place and kind of get it heading in a new direction. I think they'll be fine.
Too. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the Humane,
Yes, ma'am.
The Humane Society thanks you as well.
Thank you.
And the Arts Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you all for what you do.
All right. If there's no other discussion, we just need a motion to approve with contingencies, required contingencies, if these organizations meet the required requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item O, ordinance 2019-10, budget amendment.
Okay, I'm going to read this ordinance for you guys on the budget amendment. It's ordinance 2019-10, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the county of Marshall shall receive additional funds. Now be ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 is amended to increase revenue accounts 911 grant fund, general fund miscellaneous, grant fund 200,366, the general fund 139,633. The total is increased revenue is 340,000. The increased expenditure accounts are the 911 grant fund for equipment, 200,366. The fiscal court capital projects for the multipurpose building, 139,633, for a total expenditure increase of 340,000. Section 2, the amounts added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes.
We need a motion to accept. Oh, I'm sorry. It's an ordinance. Treasurer's year-end report.
Okay, you guys have this too. This is for June 30th. The general fund book balance is $2,918,379. The bank balance is $3,008,749. The road fund book balance is $809,012. The bank balance is $965,682. The jail fund, book balance $228,149. Bank balance $261,809. The grant fund, book balance $192,641. The bank balance $192,641. The 911 fund, book balance $29,878. Bank balance $31,232. The occupational tax fund, $3,126,222 for the book. For the bank, $3,126,000. The ABC fund, book balance $120,779. Bank balance $120,807. The building inspection fund, book balance $38,947. The bank balance $48,641.
A motion to accept the treasurer's year-end report FY 18-19.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Appropriations transfer.
You all have a little handout of the appropriation transfers. They're all departmental transfers for the year. Most of them are for little amounts that were not budgeted for, so we move the appropriation for that.
Is there a motion to accept the appropriations transfer?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Occupational tax transfer.
That is another document, and this is for an occupational tax transfer to the 911 fund, $62,158.20. This is a budgeted transfer of OTA funds that was in the budget.
Is there a motion to accept the occupational tax transfer for 911?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to pay the payment of the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Before we close for the day, I want to read my quote so that I'm not misquoted. I want to make it clear. It is disingenuous for the electrical providers to argue that they are not in the business of collecting fees for a public entity, because they are already and have been for years collecting school taxes on gross receipts. In that case, the providers are passing those taxes on to us as the end users. So when you pay your electric bill, you are paying the provider's taxes for them. We can debate all day about what is a fee and what is a tax, but the case cited in our ordinance is from the Kentucky Court of Appeals, upholding the validity of a 911 fee on water meters. We see no practical difference between water meters and electrical meters. Well, that's the quote from me or the Fiscal Court. Do we need a motion to, yes?
You mentioned that was the funds was subject to them meeting the requirements.
Correct.
What requirements? I mean, is it something other than?
The requirements that were given out to the nonprofits.
Okay. What was in the application?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.